We have actually, I'm almost positive we received the money. I know it was there and we requested it. We sent a voucher in for it, and whether it's actually in our building, in our checking account now, I couldn't tell you that because the timing has been within the last few days.
Because it has to be,
Yeah.
it has to be invested.
Yeah, it has to be come in and we have to invest it. So where it's at in that pipeline, I don't know, but it was on its way, so.
Dick, we tend to talk a lot about the 5 state pension systems, but there are many public pension systems throughout the state that I assume are covered by the same constitutional protection.
Yeah, all the systems are covered by all the state fund, the state TRS and the IMR.
But
Yeah.
what about the Chicago teachers, for example? Is that covered by the same?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question. I really haven't.
I guess my
looked at
major
it.
question is, are the pension, let's just take 5 systems, are these systems on the same page and politically to address the kind of problems?
I think we are pretty much on the same page. I think we talk to each other frequently about investment strategy and funding strategy and those things. So I think we're not perfectly aligned, but I think we're moving in the same general direction. So that's a good thing. There was another question over here.
Do you think it's a right that there might be taxing on our benefits plus loss of COLA, or adjustment in COLA?
I mean, those are always. There's always a possibility they use that as a solution to tax the benefits. The COLA, I think, is more difficult. Like I said earlier, there's a constitutional impairment or constitutional protection against an impairment. And the COLA probably fits into that. The increasing the tax on the benefits is not protected, so that could happen. They can tax. I mean, you never know what the legislature is going to tax. They can tax anything.
Say they did impose the income tax on benefits. What percentage of the state's input would that be?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah. I have no idea on that one. I think the important thing to take away is the fund is secure, but don't rest on your laurels. Get out there and talk to people. Get them ginned up. Vote. Talk to your legislatures. Write letters. Talk to your friends. Have them write letters. Get involved. Don't sit back and wait. Get involved. Be active. Support your local representative to make sure he's on your side. That's what I would suggest to you. I'll work with the legislature and I'll try to make sure they understand the message. But it's really important. It's much more effective if they hear from their constituents and not from just somebody there with their hand out. Because the money is coming into their communities. This money stays here in the state. For the most part, the pension, 80% of the pension benefits stay in the state of Illinois. It works in the local community. It helps the local grocer and the local gas station, the local beauty parlor, and all those things. It's not just going someplace else. It's not going to Washington. It's going right back into the community. And it's really a community development fund, if you look at it, right? So you make sure that they understand that and talk that up. The winds in our face right now, there's a lot of anti-tax, anti-government, anti-government employee, anti-government everything right now. It's just it is the fashion of the day. It is the silly season, as they say, and this will pass. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just hoping. We know it's not a train. Yeah, there is a way out of this. Yes, sir.
There are a lot of groups of people that would like to see the whole pension system, not just ours, disappear, the way many of the private pension systems have disappeared. And you talk about a point at which, because of the assets that we hold now, that some kind of legal action will have to be taken against the state for not paying. Now, we've also seen some data for when the with no further contribution to the state as to when the sewer's funds will run out, which are currently paying for us without a state contribution. Are you seeing any change in that number? Are you seeing it somewhere in the mid-late 20s, or when are you seeing it?
If you get fund, I think the question is, when's the money run out?
Yeah, essentially, but within the framework of why it is running out too. But okay, that's limited.
If you get your contributions the way they're supposed to be paid, if they pay exactly what they're supposed to pay, and you get the 8.5% assumed rate of return, it doesn't run out. It just keeps on going. If you don't get the contribution and we end up with, 1 or 2 or 3% return, then you're back into the mid 2025, 2030. So the worst case scenario is they don't pay anything. There's no pension contributions. Investment returns are negative, and there's a huge financial crisis. If you add all those things up, it could be 10 years. But the likelihood they're not going to fund it, the likelihood you're not going to get investment returns, and the likelihood of total financial collapse is probably unlikely. So that's what I would leave you with is like I said, the glide path is slow. A few little tweaks and a little bit more money, and then you're right back up. It'll be just fine. We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't have to make draconian cuts. All those things are not necessary. It's just simply paying the contribution and getting some moderate investment returns, and everything will be just fine. The media loves a controversy. The media loves catastrophe. The media looks for anything that might smell of it. They do not write a story in the news that says SERS is 100% funded. They never would write a story about that. They wouldn't care. They only write about train wrecks, car accidents. Seldom do you see a good news story. And so what I tell everybody, they're not going to write any good news stories. If we found the money, we struck it rich, they'd move on to something else. You never hear about it. Yes, sir.
I think one of the big complicating issue here, you're assuming the normal cost.
Right.
We have this huge unfunded liability out there.
That's true.
It screws up this whole thing.
That's true. And that's why I said they do have to make you have to cover both the funded and the unfunded liabilities. They are growing. But it only takes minor changes in the plans and in the revenue and the expense, minor changes to fix these things. You don't have to, they talk about getting rid of it, go to a defined contribution plan from a DB plan. That's the big argument now. You really don't need to do that. And that doesn't solve all the problems. The thing I struggle with is we talk about the public pensions as if the public pensions are the only ones with the problems. The private sector has just as big a problem as the public sector. We just don't hear about it. They just don't share their numbers. It's not visible. They are trying to solve their own pension problem. And the solution isn't bring everybody to the lowest level. Okay, I don't have a pension, even though people don't consider Social Security a pension. I don't have a pension, so you shouldn't have one. I mean, that's kind of the argument you hear. Let's just make sure nobody has a pension. Is that the solution we're looking for? I don't think so. Everybody should have a pension. So this race to the bottom is what baffles me. Yes, sir.
What assumptions about the near-term market volatility and trends as a result of that will lead to your expectations about the lack of solvency of the fund?
For the most part, I don't think we anticipate a great deal of volatility, not a real run up or a real run down. I think we're going to have just slow growth over the next probably 5 years as we climb back out of this recession. I think the good news is actually that you're invested in, the fund is heavily invested in equities. Equities are actually I think we'll do pretty good. The bond markets are actually not producing great returns. And so if we were, the bond markets may not produce as much as we think. So I don't anticipate a great deal of volatility, and which I think will ease our liquidity issues as well. But I think things are going to be fine. I think we may have a few minor bumps in the road, but I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to take this thing down or take it up, actually, either one. It's going to be that kind of slow crawl out of this mess.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mabe. I note there are a lot of positive qualities to the presentation that keep things on the upbeat. And on behalf of the chapter, I'd like to present you with this gift to remind you of our organization.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Is it over?
For those of you staying for lunch, we will move next door.
Okay, thanks.
Worst case scenario.
What is it? I'm just going to take yes. Oh, okay.
It's not a really important.
Thank you.
He says he's not supposed to give you gifts. He's not a person.
That's true. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Well, I think,
Thank you again.
Unfortunately, the second session with the presentation was broadcast fine. You had 10 viewers, 8 of them all the way through. But it just won't, it kept dropping out on the report. I've never seen it before. It's the Ustream's problem, I think. It's, I don't know, but I assume it did not report.
Oh, no.
So, but the meeting was well, I thought it was more interesting.
Okay, well,
Double
take a
check.
look at it. We're going to check.
It just kept saying, film. It's not
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is. Everything else is looking very amazing.
Yeah. So that was beyond your control.
I think so.
Well.
Things like that, she wasn't comfortable. Don Martin was, she was
There's no conversation. You know,
Yeah, I think you're putting in perspective. It's one thing, and then there's the state. So one is good, the other is fine, but you know. What upset me was that before you arrived, when I showed you the newsletter I received from my legislature, I don't know, it's probably nothing to me.
Yeah. We just discussed. We just saw it moving. Well, we have a secret plan. Oh, sure, it's absolutely perfect plan. We'll never implement it. Well, it's the round trip. It's the round trip. A little longer because you don't have that drag.
I saw a case off the strategies they had for problems that could occur, you know, like the bottom falls out, you get stuff. I noticed them all the way down, you know, until they oxygen and everything, and they just.
Yes, I've seen.
Still,
enough. They were thinking that they would lose, but they went down there going enough time to lose some weight.
I thought they were Swiss German, you know? But they started feeding them after the 17th day. So there's,
So they did work in the extra 2 pounds. So stay where they were, huh?
yeah, because they didn't have any, well, they exercised, they walked 5 miles a day and stuff.
Oh, Lord. Well, you know what? They said they didn't know they'd all be able to fit in there.
Well, they you gotta fit in there. That's the only way out.
Well, they spent some more. Lost weight, fitness, whatever the thing was, maybe that was not really being a concern. Well, they probably, those guys probably sell. Maybe they were, in a little position, they probably didn't. You do want to make sure you can get out there. Well, you know, the word, it wasn't wrong.